Hello again, Northport High School Culinary. It's Chef Magliacane here. As you know, I went fishing this morning and caught some really nice Spanish mackerel, which I showed you how to fillet in an earlier video. We're going to move on now, and we are going to smoke the fish with the idea in the end to make a smoked fish dip. Before we can smoke the fish, though, it's really important that we brine the fish first. We're going to put the fish in a solution of water, salt, and sugar. This is important because the salt reacts. Number one, it adds flavor to the fish, which is important. But it also helps the fish retain moisture in the smoker because it will actually, the salt reacts with the flesh of the fish and sort of gelatinizes the outside, which enables moisture to stay inside the fish while it's cooking. The fish will also stay firmer and have a firmer texture when it's done smoking because of the brine. So it's important that we brine the fish for a little bit first. We're only going to brine it for about an hour. We are going to brine it in a pretty strong solution of salt and sugar water. So first we're going to add a half cup of kosher salt. You have to use kosher salt. You cannot use iodized salt for this. So either natural sea salt or kosher salt, but nothing with iodine. It won't react properly with the fish. We're going to put a half cup of salt in and then equal parts of sugar. So a half cup of sugar also. This is just regular white sugar. All right, we've got a half cup of sugar. And to that we are going to add 6 cups of good clean water. So this is a 4-cup measuring device here. So that's 4 cups. And then another 2. Now what we could do at this point, and a lot of people would, they would heat the water up till it was almost boiling to dissolve the sugar and the salt. I don't find that that's necessary if we just take a good amount of time whisking it. We're going to whisk it for a minute or two until all that salt and sugar has dissolved into the water. And you know it's dissolved when the water is really clear, you don't see any particulates, you don't see any crystals anymore, and the water will actually clear up. It'll be foggier than plain clean water, but it will clear up once that salt and sugar has dissolved. What you don't want to use is cold water to do this, because in cold water it really won't dissolve. And we're getting close here. It's not even really important that it's fully dissolved. I am going to give this a test real quick. I'm going to taste it and see how I think we are on salt level. It's very salty. So I know that I can only keep the fish in here for probably 45 minutes at the most. If you let the fish sit too long in a really salty solution like this, it'll be inedible after you cook it. It'll be just way too salty to eat. So we're going to take our fillets now and put it right into the bowl. Our 4 gorgeous mackerel fillets that I'm so proud of. This fishing will be over for those of us who have to fish for the shore, on the shore, at least for the next month or so. And once we fully submerge the fillets in the water, we're just going to take the bowl and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator for about 45 minutes, and then we'll move on with the next stage in smoking the fish. See you guys soon. Continuing with smoking our fresh Spanish mackerel fillets today. I've got them laid out here. They brined for about an hour, and then I pulled them out. I patted them dry with paper towels, and I laid them out on racks to let them air dry inside at about, well, the house is about 70 degrees, so that's a good temperature, and they air dried for about an hour and a half. What that does is it gelatinizes the flesh on the top side, and that's going to hold the moisture in the smoker. I know it may be hard to pick up on the camera here, but the color has changed and the flesh is sort of sticky to the touch, and that's what we want. That's going to let the outside sort of caramelize, and it's going to have a nice chewy texture on the outside of the fish. So we're ready to put them into the smoker. Now this here is an electric smoker. It's very simple to use. It's perfect for doing small batches of smoked food like this fish. If I had a larger smoker that was just fed by starting a fire and letting wood turn into charcoal, this would have taken many hours just to get it ready. This is a really easy alternative, and also it's what I have, so it's what I'm going to use. This takes wood chips, not full pieces of wood. They get loaded into this cartridge on the side. We've got a mixture here of mesquite and peach wood that we're putting into the smoker. And we just load it in, put it in the side, and what it does is it dumps right onto a burner that's in there that gets the chips smoking. The only problem with a little smoker like this is we do have to keep feeding the smoker to keep the smoke going. So we're going to put our fillets in there. We're going to put one fillet on every rack that we have. Now, we could fit more, but I have 4 racks and I have 4 fillets, and we want to give them as much space as possible so they can sort of get immersed in that smoke. So that's what we're going to do. It's important, though, that we try to keep the fish from sticking to the rack, because the skin is sticky, because it has been brined and air dried. So we're going to give it a spray with our non-stick spray, very much like we have back at school. We're going to spray the skin side, and then we're going to place it on a rack. And then we'll open up our smoker, and that smoke should come pouring out, as it is. And we're going to load it right in there. I'll start on the bottom rack. And we're going to do this with all the fillets of fish. Give a quick spray, drop the bottle if you want, on the rack, and load them into the smoker. Now this smoker is running at about 250 degrees. It's another nice thing about an electric smoker is you can control the temperature with the thermostat. You don't have to worry about it. This one's sprayed and put it in. And we're probably going to give this fish about 2 hours in the smoker, but just like I tell you all the time at school, how long does it have to cook? It cooks until it's done, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to check it in about an hour. We're going to keep this smoke going by continuing to add chips. We are going to close the door, seal it up, and we should be ready to go. We'll come back in about an hour and a half and check on it. Should be done around an hour and a half and 2 hours, and it should be nice and browned up. As you know, we put our filleted Spanish mackerel into the smoker. It's been in there about 2 hours now, and I think we're ready to open it up and remove the fish. Latch. Little smoke still coming out of there, a nice blast of heat and steam. Hopefully we should have a nice skin on the fish now that's formed. You can see that there, it's browned up nicely, it's caramelized, and we push on it, we can tell it's got a nice skin. That's all in the brining. If you don't brine it, this will all flake apart. We want it nice and tight just like that. So we're going to pull all our fish, we're going to put it onto a plate, we'll refrigerate it overnight, and then tomorrow, hopefully we'll be ready to make some fish dip. And the skin is releasing from the griddle because we sprayed it with the non-stick spray, which is very important. We're just going to slide it onto a plate, get it in the cooler, and refrigerate it overnight. So I'll see you in the next segment.